Okay, a couple of things first before we start this recipe. Your wild rice and your chickpeas. Talking about those first. You'll need to cook those first. First, you need to soak them overnight. Do not start cooking them first, because if you do, it'll take a really long time. You'll have to keep refilling the pot with water like a really long time. So your best bet, soak them overnight. It'll make cooking them much faster and much easier. I'm going to show pictures right here of the wild rice. This is what it looks like before it is cooked, and this is what it looks like after it is cooked. Usually when I talk about wild rice to people, they come back and they have like a bag of that black rice that is not wild rice. Wild rice is actually a brown color and thinner than the black rice that people buy, or regular rice. And chickpeas. These are red chickpeas, not your regular beige or brown looking chickpeas that you usually buy. These are red. They're smaller than your regular normal size chickpeas, but you'll need to soak them overnight and for you to cook them too. Cook them like you would normally cook your wild rice, your rice and your beans, whatever seasoning you like to put in them, whether it and herbs you like to put in them. But cook them like you would normally do. Don't deviate from that, however you usually cook them. But they also double in size. So in the recipe, the measurements that I give is for the chickpeas and wild rice after they have been cooked. So not before, because they do double in size. If you cook 2 cups, you'll end up with 4 cups. If you cook 1 cup, you end up with 2 cups, that type of thing. So measurements for that is for when it is already cooked. Next thing is moving on to like some of these seasonings that you probably saw on the screen, or that I mentioned that you probably don't have and probably wondering, how did I get them? Like the ground papaya seed and the red bell pepper powder and the shallot powder. Those I did do myself. Papaya seeds is just when you buy papaya, you know, you cut it open, all those seeds in there, you just wash them off, dehydrate them yourself. If you're doing them in the oven, put them in the lowest temp you could possibly put, and just it's going to be a couple hours, but just check them till they're nice and hard and dry. If you have a dehydrator, that makes it much easier. Just put them on there and you can dehydrate them like that. Once they're dehydrated, you just blend them up in your blender and you got powder. That's how I get my bell pepper powder, shallot powder. I think you can buy shallot powder like in Asian stores and probably online. But far as the ground papaya seed, I don't know if you can buy that online. I've never did. I buy papaya anyway, so I got tons of seeds, so why not just use what I get. And the red bell pepper, I usually buy that like when it's abundant and it's cheaper, because red bell peppers are not that cheap. And I just dehydrate them, and then you can blend them up, and that's how you get the powder for those. Now you have to add liquid smoke into this, so it makes it kind of wet once you use it. If you want to keep it out and not in the refrigerator, you have to dehydrate it too. You have to put it in the oven and dehydrate it, or put it on your dehydrator. I prefer a dehydrator so I don't have to worry about the burning part. And you can leave it on there, and then you can just put it in your blender, blend it up a little bit more so all the seasoning and spices, they all blend together very well. And you can leave it sitting out because liquid smoke is antibacterial. That's pretty much it on that part. All right, to the video. Hey, happy people. So today we are going to be making a red beans and rice version. Not just vegan, but it's alkaline. So we're going to try to do this and see how it works. First thing first, you need a big stock pot. You're going to need some oil. I have grapeseed oil. Just going to pour some in there. A couple of tablespoons. My pot is already getting hot. And, well, mainly I should probably tell you that you're going to need the red chickpeas. These are red, not the brown ones like you usually see, or tan, but red. They're a little smaller too than your regular size chickpeas. And my rice is going to be a wild rice, so that'll make it completely alkaline. And I think we're about ready to start here. So first thing first, I have some fennel stalk. I'll put a picture right here because I didn't know what fennel stalk was at first when I first looked it up. So this is just the stalk of it, not the sprigs that are at the very top. I do have some of them chopped up too, but this is just the stalk part chopped up really good. This is going to replace like a celery. So we're going to start with that first because it is amazingly tough. It takes a little longer to cook than everything else. I also have 1 portobello mushroom cap. And we're going to cook those down first. Definitely let your fennel cook for a little while because, like I say, it is a little tough little thing there, and it takes a second for it to soften up a little bit. Now I have small onion, full small yellow onion. This is a small bell pepper, red bell pepper. Both are just small little bell pepper, not like a cup or anything like that. I just chopped up 1 bell pepper. They were both small. The onion was small. And this is some green onions, about 2 of the stalks. Spring onion, green onion, whichever one you want to call it. 2 of the stalk part, not the dark leafy part. But I do have some of that too for later. And we're just going to add all that in here. And we're going to let that cook down for a minute, let our vegetables get tender. When you cook your chickpeas, when you cook them, keep the liquid from them. That is called aquafaba. It is going to be darker than your normal aquafaba because it is from the red chickpeas. I'm going to add just a tad bit more oil. And now, alright, our seasonings. We have here, starting here, this is 2 tablespoons of chili powder. The ingredients are right here because it had to be homemade to make it alkaline. Regular chili powder has things that are not on the list to be alkaline, so this is the this is the recipe. Alright, so 2 tablespoons of chili powder, 1 teaspoon of sea salt, 1 teaspoon of ground papaya seeds. This is not black pepper, this is ground papaya seeds. This is dehydrated and then ground. Then after that we have 1 tablespoon of dried oregano, 1 tablespoon of thyme, or thyme as people like to say, but thyme. And then I have 1 teaspoon of ginger and 1 teaspoon of 1 teaspoon of onion powder, and then 1 bay leaf. It kind of broke up, so it looks like more than that, but we're not going to put that in there right now. We're going to wait till we get ready to put our liquids. So, all of that goes in. Get all mixed up there together. It already smells good. Already. Let that just marinate there together for a second. Now, these are the sprigs from the fennel. They're just a few, like the sprigs that I put off, the 2 little stalks that I pulled off. Fennel is very large, so after you've used your 2 stalks, you're probably not going to use it every day. You can't cut it up and put it in the freezer. It still has that crunch amazingly when you defrost it. It is not soggy, so you can use it like that sparingly because you get a big thing, but you don't use it all at one time. So I'm just going to put a few sprigs, few little pinches here in there. Now we can add our bay leaf. I might want to say first that you should soak your wild rice and your chickpeas overnight first before you try to cook them, because if you try to cook them first, it's going to take a very, very long time. Soak them overnight so your wild rice will open up and be fluffy. It won't be so hard, and your chickpeas won't take so long to cook when you cook them. I'm telling you, the soaking overnight makes a difference. 30 minutes on the wild rice, maybe an hour on your chickpeas, things like that. I'm not going to show you guys how to cook wild rice on this right here because I'm not going to make the video that much longer. But wild rice, best way, just like you do regular rice. Water, your seasonings, put it in there, and usually it's about 1 to 1. If you do 1 cup of wild rice, then you should probably do 1 cup of water. A lot of times it'll soak it up, but just watch it because sometimes it will soak it all and burn it. If you need me to show you a video on how to do wild rice, just comment that, and if I get enough comments, I will make wild rice on camera. Okay, so I think our vegetables have marinated and cooked very well in the seasoning, so now we are going to add, this is the aquafaba to the red chickpeas, or chickpea juice, whichever one you want to call it. This is about 1 1/4 cups. Gonna add that. Then I have a cup of the red chickpeas, already cooked. Do not put these in here raw. It will take you forever and a day to cook them. Already cooked. Now here is where your own measurements come in at. I have here, this is about 2.5 cups of veggie broth, but I don't want to use the whole thing because really I'm not making a humongous pot. I'm just making enough for a few servings for myself, but if you're needing more than that, you can definitely double this recipe, but I'm only going to try to pour it in here. About a cup of the broth, but keep it on hand because as it simmers, if it needs more, you'll definitely have to add more. That's good. It's still about a cup left in there, so. Oh, I forgot. This is some cilantro. There's just no measurement on that. Just a little bit I got left in the refrigerator. So I'm going to throw that in there too. Why not? Now, we are going to put the top on that and let that boil for a minute. While that is going, we're going to make a little slurry to put in here to make this thick, right? Because that's very thin. So, stepping over to our blender. We are going to use, this is another cup of red chickpeas. Nope. Alright. We also have some spelt flour. This is the regular brown spelt flour, not the white. This is 1/4 cup of spelt flour. And I got here, this is about almost 2 cups of chickpea water aquafaba. Might not. Oh, there we go. We made it. Like blend this as smooth as possible so when it go in there it don't have a whole lot of little bits, but it's not going to matter because it's just chickpeas, but smooth as possible. If you get too thick, we're going to have to add a little of the veggie broth. Put in there. want that right there. Oh, it smells so good. It smells so good. And we're just going to add our slurry here to make sure it thickens up. Mix that all in pretty good. So it's already getting pretty thick. Now basically I'm just going to let this come to a boil, and once it comes to a boil then we're going to turn down the heat just a little bit to like a medium, and you want to let this simmer till you get the till you get the texture and the consistency that you want. Some people like the red beans and the rice to be a little bit runny. Some of them like it to be, the beans part to be like thick. The rice literally just sits like right on top of it because it's so thick, but some like it to be so runny that the rice just melts right in and it becomes like a little, almost like a little bean soup. So now that just depends on your consistency and like, but me personally, I'm going to let this go a while. I want it to reduce. I want to be able to see my beans in there at some point, my chickpeas. So cover it, give it at least 15 minutes, just watch it again till you get to the thickness you want. If you want it to be a little more soupier, thinner, add more of your chickpea broth or some veggie broth. You don't necessarily have to use water. But if you want to, you can add water to thin it out too, no problem. But just watch it. You'll know when you feel it, when you open it, and it just looks really good to you, then you're ready. Okay, we're back. I have let this go for about 25 minutes. It is quite thick to me, which is how I like my red beans and rice to be thick. Guys, see that? Pretty thick. I did add an extra cup of chickpeas because I had an extra cup of chickpeas. So, as you can see, it has a nice thick broth to it. So I just need to fish out those bay leaves, if I can find them. So I have my rice. This is wild rice. You guys can see that. It has been cooked. Oh, look how I was able to put that in the bowl like that. That's awesome. Neat little trick. Just take a small little Pyrex bowl, small little bowl, put your rice off in there, let it sit for a minute, then dump it in your other bowl. So here we go. Alright, throw a little green onion on there. And we're ready to rock and roll. Now, I'm going to go get Happy, let him make his plate, and we will do a test run and taste so he can tell you what he thinks of it. Be back. Okay, we are back. So Happy is here to do a taste test and see what you think. Alright, honey, let's try it out. Red beans and rice. alkaline style.
Okay.
It's kind of hot, so be careful.
Thought you said you was gonna warm it up.
It is warm, but it's hot.
Okay, it's good. What's the quinoa for? To mix it with?
That's the wild rice. You know, with red beans and rice.
So just mix it all together.
You can if you want to. Yeah. I think this tastes pretty good. It's as close as you're probably gonna get to your regular red beans and rice, especially doing the alkaline, not using the same things that you use in regular red beans and rice, but substituting. So I think this is a very good substitute. We should definitely try this out. Give us a comment in the bottom. Let us know what you think.
And it is good. It's good. You just caught me slipping.
Happy approved. All right, people. And with that, stay happy.
Butter on my stress.